I now request Honorable Mr. Justice Abhay Shreeniwas Oka, Judge, Supreme Court of India, to deliver the inaugural address. So please.
Good morning. I'll commit breach of protocol to start with. First, I want to welcome young law students who are here in large numbers. I am told there are about 400 in this hall, and in other hall in the same complex, there are others, about 300, watching online. Ultimately, this all exercise is for you, the young students. Honorable Mr. Justice M.N. Venkatacharya, who has blessed this great initiative by this law college. Honorable Mr. Justice Alok Aradhe, Acting Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court. Honorable Mr. Justice B. Virappa, the senior most judge of the High Court of Karnataka. Justice P.S. Dinesh Kumar, senior judge, High Court of Karnataka. My other esteemed brother judges of High Court of Karnataka who are present here. Shri Prabhuling Nawadgi, our young and evergreen Advocate General of State of Karnataka. Mr. M.B. Nargun, Additional Solicitor General of India. Additional Advocate General Mr. Shah Arun. Mr. Naik, Law Secretary, Registrar General, Judicial Officers who are present here, members of the bar, the principal of KLE Society's Law College, Bengaluru, the office bearers of Samutkarsha Trust, and not to forget Sri Sridhar Prabhu, who is brain behind today's colloquium. There are other members of the organizing committee who are present here, members of the law faculty. To begin with, one of the speakers gave long introduction of those who are present on the dais. When I was hearing the introduction, my own introduction, I thought that my best introduction in one sentence could have been that I am former Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court. Perhaps that introduction was more than sufficient. I must compliment KLE Society's Law College for this great initiative. In fact, it's a great adventure, even thinking of holding a national colloquium on judicial services, opportunities and challenges is a path-breaking activity. This society runs hundreds of education institutions. There are 6 law colleges. It appears that former President Dr. Abdul Kalam visited the complex of this education society, and he has aptly described what is achieved by the society that is available on the website. I am not going to repeat that to save the time. And today, we have blessings of great jurist, Honorable Mr. Justice M.N. Venkatacharya, who is rightly described as our leader of the judicial fraternity. This opportunity, this colloquium has given me a wonderful opportunity to interact with more than 500 law students, young law students, who have come from different colleges in the city of Bengaluru. This also gives me an opportunity to have interaction with those faculty members who are present here. Firstly, I want to say something about legal education because that has some relevance with today's subject. I became law student in June 1980. So 42 years have gone by. On basis of my own experience, I want to tell young girls and boys who are here, who are students of law, that I consider your generation of law students to be a privileged generation. There are 2 or 3 reasons for that. I am very candid with you. In 1980, when I joined Government Law College, which is the oldest law college in the country, it was openly said that those students who do not get admission into professional courses, as a last resort, they join law course. It was openly said. I must hasten to add, I was not one of them. I had other opportunities, but I chose law as career. In those days, we never imagined that there will be a 5-year degree course in law. We never imagined that there will be a full-time course in law. Nobody imagined that. I don't remember, I used to have interaction with my professors and especially visiting faculty. Nobody ever imagined this. I'll tell you what was the law course at that time. In most of the colleges across the nation, either there are morning colleges or evening colleges. The idea was that law course will be supplementary to other activities which people undertake. It was the Government Law College, which was perhaps the only law college in the country which had afternoon batch. They used to start lectures at 10:30 in the morning and end at 1 o'clock. So we used to have maximum 2 or 3 lectures. And most of the lectures were delivered by visiting faculty. They were members of the bar. Some of them were attorneys practicing in Mumbai. Government Law College was the only law college in those days which was very strict about the attendance. Otherwise, you must have heard from lawyers of earlier generation that there are a lot of freedom available to law students not to join classes, to remain in campus but remain away from the classes. Only because I was a student of Government Law College, I did not have that freedom. And not only that, attendance was compulsory. Fortunately or unfortunately, the then principal of the college was my father's schoolmate. So he gave special attention to me whether I am attending the lectures or not. And there were no activities at that time. I remember in those 2 or 3 years, there were very senior members of the bar coming to Government Law College and telling us, look, you belong to privileged generation because you have 3 years law course. Earlier generation had 2 years law course. And there were no moot courts. Hardly there were 1 or 2 moot courts in a year. We had not heard about this mock trial competition, law quiz, judgment writing competition and what not. We had not heard about this legal aid activities, that students participate in legal aid, we are not aware. Of course, I was in a privileged position being student of Government Law College. There are 3 places which were very close to Government Law College because there were 2 lectures in a day. One place was, of course, Bombay High Court at a walking distance, where occasionally we used to go after the college hours and see giants in action. I remember Mr. H.M. Sirvai arguing a matter before the full bench of the Bombay High Court. Of course, I was too raw at that time to understand the intricacies of arguments made by him. The second institution, which was very close by, was British Council Library. Library used to open at 8 o'clock and close at 8 o'clock in the night. There are a fabulous collection of books. They used to show video films, which are novelty in those days, on various subjects. I remember to have seen a video film on Court of Appeals or Royal Court of Justice in the heart of the city of London. And third important institution, which was very important for me, was Wankhede Stadium was at a walking distance. In those days, there were no live telecast, so we could spend 2 rupees by purchasing a ticket, but we could see, sitting in North Stand, exactly behind the wicket, Gavaskar, Vishwanath, Vengsarkar, and all greats in action. Of course, there was a 4th attraction, but fortunately or unfortunately, I remained away from that attraction, that there were 2 beautiful cinema theatres, Regal and one more theatre. But that was not attraction for me. And look at today's legal education. You have 5 years full-time course. You have beautiful campus like this. I was reading about this college. I keep on visiting law colleges and national law schools across the country. Such a marvelous infrastructure you have. You have that model courtroom. In fact, many of the national law schools and many of the law colleges I have seen model courtrooms. I am sure this will apply to model courtroom here also, that most of the model courtrooms are far better than actual courtrooms in our courts. It has all the IT infrastructure with a screen and so many things. You will not find that kind of infrastructure in actual courts. And you have all those competitions. So many cultural programs on the campus. So much of interaction with great people in the legal field. And most importantly, most of the law students are acting as PLVs, paralegal volunteers. And I must tell you, I was part of the legal service authority set up in Bombay. The paralegal volunteers who are the young law students, they do a phenomenal job. How important it is, I'm diverting from the subject, but that freedom is available to me because I am the last speaker. In Pune, I was attending a function arranged by the Legal Service Authority on mediation. I received a phone call while I was coming back from Pune to Bombay. I received a phone call on my cell phone. One old lady was speaking in Marathi. Those were the days 2017 when banks used to announce that if you don't have Aadhaar card and link that Aadhaar card with your bank account, your bank accounts will become inoperational. So the poor lady said, "Sir, I have genuine difficulty." I said, "Madam, what happened?" She said that my one arm has been amputated and I am on wheelchair. So with the help of somebody, she was staying alone. With the help of domestic aid, she went to a booth to get Aadhaar card. She was promptly told that you require impressions of 10 fingers. You won't get Aadhaar card. So, sir, what should I do? Because now they will close my bank account. So I contacted one of the principals of the local law college. He said, "Don't worry, sir, I'll put some PLVs in action." Now those young law students, I don't know what miracle they did. I think they went to the head office of that organization which issues this Aadhaar card. Within 2 days, the students ensured that the officers of that UDI, that organization is called as, those officers went with the machines to the house of this lady, and within 2 days, she got the Aadhaar card at her doorsteps. So this is the kind of good work. Not that every PLV does this kind of good work, but that opportunity is available to you, opportunity to serve common man, opportunity to do something different. Now coming to today's subject, I must give you a little background. As a lawyer, I used to be visiting faculty to many law colleges in Maharashtra. As a judge, I continued to do that. I used to preside over so many moot court competitions. I used to deliver lectures on CPC and constitutional law. Then I was associated with formation of the first national law school in Mumbai, Maharashtra. National Law University, Mumbai. I had some association with the National Law School here in my capacity as the Chief Justice and now as a Judge of the Supreme Court. I had direct association with Maharashtra National Law University, Aurangabad, as its Chancellor. I used to interact with the law teachers. And I suddenly realized in 2015, something which goes to the root of the matter. I became chairman of the committee which selects judicial officers for the state. And every process we used to supervise and conduct, we used to find that we were not able to fill in all the vacant posts. After the meetings of the selection committee, we used to have long deliberations or a cup of tea with my colleagues, sister and brother judges. And then we suddenly realized that we are not going to the law students and encourage them to join judiciary. Our students are not aware, law students are not aware that career in judiciary is such a fabulous option available to them. And then I suddenly realized in my law college days or whenever I used to deliver lectures, I never found a law teacher telling a law student, telling the pupils in the class that some of them must think of joining judiciary. Some of them must think of becoming government law officers, the prosecutors and government payers. And most importantly, some of them must think of becoming law teachers. That was never told to the law students. In our law colleges and especially in our national law schools, teachers and those who come there as visiting lecturers, the members of the bar, they keep on hammering only one thing: how brilliant it will be the career, how prosperous will be the career in bar, whether you are in standard litigation practice or you are doing chamber work or non-litigation practice. So for years, we have been telling the young law students the importance of traditional legal practice before the court, how lucrative is the profession, or non-traditional practice, that is sitting in chamber and doing non-litigation work. But we never told the students that there are other career opportunities which are available and which are more important. In fact, I remember in my college days in law college, some of the lectures, some of the functions which I attended as a member of the bar in law colleges, some of the law teachers telling the law students that, look, service conditions of judiciary are so poor as compared to the income which you will get, fabulous income you will get as a members of the bar. So, in fact, sorry to say this, I found that forget about encouraging the students were discouraged from even thinking about joining judiciary. Of course, those were the days, I am talking about 80s and 90s. As I said, it was said at that time that as a last resort, students used to go to law college. I remember in my government law college, there are 4 categories of students. One, who were genuinely interested in law and had joined law to do something in law. Second, those who were doing examinations of the cost accountant, chartered accountant and company secretaries, they used to come there for additional qualification. Third was the category of those who were employed, but they thought that they will acquire some additional qualification. And fourth category was also there in many law colleges in Mumbai. That was of retired people joining the law course. In my class, there were 3 such people. And they were very popular because they had just retired they were holding good post. So we used to be after them because they used to take us to restaurant and foot the bill. So they were very popular. But slowly, as we introduced this 5 years course, slowly as everybody realized, those who belong to academics, that this 3 years course will not do. We introduced 5 years course, we introduced full-time course, we introduced residential courses in national law schools and some of the other law schools. Thereafter, from late 1990s, I now see young talent returning to the field of law. That's a major change which has happened during last 20 or 25 or 30 years. Those who belong to my generation, they will understand this. Those who are sitting on the dais, my esteemed colleagues in Karnataka High Court, they have seen those days. And now we have tremendously competitive, intelligent and very ambitious law students joining the law courses. And that is where now the need arises when we should go to the law colleges and tell them. So going back to 2015, we decided, the judges of the High Court, that whenever we are invited to any law college, first 15 minutes will devote to encouraging the law students to undertake career in judiciary or other 2 careers which are equally important, career as law officers and career as law teachers. Of course, that's a separate subject. Someday we'll have to also think about it, that how our system is going to survive unless we have good law teachers. There's one more area which I want to invite attention of young law students. In India, we are pioneers in research in science and technology, but there is hardly any research in law in India, which is also a very sad thing. We have such brilliant minds coming to the law colleges, but there is hardly any systematic research. There are good people who are doing research, I am not saying no, but systematic activity of research which we have in science subjects, we have so many institutions in this country which is not there in the field of law. So we started that activity of going to the law colleges and telling the law students, but we found that that was not enough. So I called meeting of the office bearers of the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, and I told them that they should undertake this activity at district level, at taluk level. And somehow they took it very right earnestly, and they started a full-fledged activity. In fact, Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa have published a booklet under the heading Career in Judiciary. It gives all the details, the importance of judicial service, what are the service conditions, what are the avenues open, because in some of the states, apart from this civil and district judiciary, there are other avenues open. For example, state of Maharashtra, there are other avenues open. You can directly become judge of the family court, you can become judge of a labor court, you can become a judge in charity organization. There are so many, every state has different avenues open. So that book contains all the details. I am going to share that book with Mr. Sridhar Prabhu. So KLE and the Samutkarsha Trust can bring Karnataka version of that book, which will be available to the students, maybe a soft version. And then this activity took off. The Bar Council started conducting workshops at taluk level. They went to the law colleges. They started coaching classes for all these competitive examinations. Other day I attended function of the Bar Council. I was told that in the immediately last recruitment process of civil judges, 70% of the candidates who were selected, they had undertaken education in the classes conducted by Bar Council. And therefore, I am extremely glad that these two organizations have taken a lead and have now taken initiative here, which was the need of the hour. Few things I must tell you how important is the judicial service. Before that, earlier speakers have told you that the Advocate General used a very good word, samarpan, that you dedicate yourself to the service when you join judiciary. But still, you know, every law student, every young law graduate has some apprehension in mind. As I had heard in my student days, you know, this judiciary gives very poor remuneration. Because we need money to survive. We can work with dedication if the remuneration is commensurate with what we do, and a very decent, which will give us, which will help us to lead a very decent life. Of course, I must say that in 1983, when I joined bar, the condition of service was very poor. It was poor. I mean, there can't be any second opinion about it. 10% of salary used to be deducted for this accommodation. The judges could not even afford to have, the civil judges and district afford to buy a two-wheeler. Things drastically changed after the first National Judicial Pay Commission headed by Justice Shetty. In fact, Justice Shetty also hails from state of Karnataka. He brought about a great change. His report was accepted, and for the first time, the judicial officers got a reasonable pay packet and reasonable facilities. In 2017, I requested one of my registrars to conduct a broad study to find out, because you know, even today also, one very lucrative branch for the young students is engineering branch. So I told one of my registrars that you please find out, because you know all these engineering colleges have that campus interviews in the last year, and students are directly recruited by various companies. So I told them, go to standard engineering colleges, forget about IIT or that BITS Pilani or other leading institutions. Standard, very good engineering colleges where large number of students are going, and find out. So in 2017, some data was collected. That data showed that even in that campus interview in engineering colleges, good engineering colleges, I am talking about somebody who has done engineering in computers or any good branch, the starting pay packet was average, by an average, started from about 25,000 and maximum was 45,000. And you know, after Shetty Commission recommendation was accepted, a young law graduate who is 25 years old, who has not seen how the court works, provided he has LLM and requisite percentage, he can straight away join judiciary as a civil judge. Or somebody, young law graduate who practices for 3 years, he can simply enter judiciary, provided he clears those examinations. In 2017, the entry level salary of civil judge after deducting income tax was something in the range of 50 to 55,000. I'm talking about 2017. So we realized that we must tell the law students that it is not as if that you don't get good remuneration. Not only that you get good remuneration, you get something more, which I am going to tell you in latter part of my address. And to continue with this, I want to share some figures with you. Before I share the figures, what are the avenues open, etc. Today, in the afternoon session, my esteemed colleagues, Justice Shyam Prasad and Justice Suraj Govindaraj, are going to address you, can have interactive session with you. What are the actual avenues open? Recently, Advocate General talked about the acceptance of recommendations of the latest pay commission, Judicial Pay Commission, by Supreme Court in the order passed in this month, last month. I must tell, for the benefit of the young students, that now the basic salary at entry level of civil judge is 77,840, plus you get that DA of 34% and some other allowances like sumptuary allowance. So today, a young law graduate who is clever enough and competent enough to clear the exam and who gets appointment as a civil judge, now his pay packet will be, after deducting income tax, will be around 95,000 to 1 lakh. One who has no experience of working in the court. And please imagine, forget about bigger cities like Bangalore or maybe Dharwad, some 2 or 3 cities. Even if you go to district court, those who are successful practitioners and those who have spent 10 years in practice, they don't get this kind of a return from the profession. And above all, what the earlier speaker said, there are other allowances, like various allowances are there. You get some 50 or 75 liters of petrol reimbursement depending upon the city in which you are posted, free accommodation, and so many other perquisites are there. I am not counting in that 95,000 to 1,05,000. Mind you, this is the figure 95,000 to 1,05,000 after income tax deduction. This is the salary which now new entrant to at a basic level civil judge junior division you are likely to get. And then thereafter those assured career progression schemes are there. Even if you are not promoted to the next promotional post of senior civil judge, you get the salary of senior civil judge maybe after 10 years, or it depends on the rules of the state. There is one more avenue open. Our acting Chief Justice said that 25% of the posts of the district judges are reserved for direct recruitment from the bar. And the salary at entry point is 1,44,840. Now, what is the subject to correction? If you are 35 years old and if you have practiced for 7 years, you can become direct district judge. So 1,44,000, 1,45,000 is the entry level basic salary. If you add other allowances and dearness allowance, the figure almost reaches 2 lakhs. And plus other perquisites which are available. Please remember one thing, don't be under impression that the pay structure for judiciary is poor. You are wrong there. It is a public service. If you consider it to be a public service, if you consider it to be a pious service, you get more than reasonable remuneration and all the facilities. Therefore, remove that impression from your mind that you will not be better off if you join judiciary. I know that this is not the only consideration for joining judiciary. There are other considerations which are more important. This year, we celebrated 75 years of our independence. Lot of debate is going on. In the afternoon lecture, I am going to speak about it. Debate is going on what we have achieved, what we have given to the citizens of independent India after independence. Much is said about the judiciary, what judiciary has given. What all of us will have to remember is the last speech delivered by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly, that was on 25th of November 1949. Apart from many things, he said that India needs a social democracy. Unless we have a very proactive judiciary, India won't get social democracies. Judiciary and legal fraternity has to contribute to make India a social democracy. As a civil judge, I must tell you, some people will tell you that civil judge is popularly known as lower court. In Karnataka, We can't use that. I have passed an order as Chief Justice. Civil court and district court cannot be called as lower court or subordinate court. The reason is, if you are a judge of the civil court, please remember that you are delivering greatest service to the common man. Because common man comes to your court. A poor wife, she needs maintenance, she will come to your court by filing a petition under section 125. A widow wants small share in 2 acres or 1 acre of property, she will come to your court and file a suit for partition. Civil judges, I'll say this with great responsibility, the fate of common man's legal dispute is decided in our civil and district courts. You are the one who is going to enter the judiciary at threshold level. You are going to decide the fate of a common man, fate of a common litigant. Sitting in constitutional courts, we can't improve upon the cases of litigants on facts. One more thing, I was addressing young students like this, and one girl asked me a question. She said that, media and whenever there are meetings of the legal fraternity like conferences, etc., everybody talks about constitutional courts, nobody talks about our civil court. Very, very pertinent question was asked by girl student. I gave the answer and I want to repeat that answer to you. Please remember one thing. Now I have been a part of Bombay High Court, I have been a part of Karnataka High Court as Chief Justice, now I am part of the Apex Court. So I worked in 3 different constitutional courts at different levels. Please remember one thing, that though we have hierarchy of courts, if you are a civil judge, your orders will be challenged before district court or high court and thereafter before the apex court. Please remember that the job of all judges at any level, Supreme Court level, district court level, high court level, civil court level, is the same. Please remember this. In fact, sitting in Supreme Court now, sometimes I feel that common man's litigation is not coming to me. You are the ones who enter judiciary as the civil judges or direct district judges, or if you enter as civil judges, soon thereafter you will get promotion. You are the one who are going to decide the issues which are very dear and concerned for common man. The nomenclature of the court may be different, but your job is no different from the job of the constitutional court's judges. Please remember this. Those who are aspiring to join judiciary as civil judges don't have this inferiority complex at all. You go with very positive notion that you are going to become a cause of social change. You are going to fulfill the dream of our constitutional framers and our freedom fighters that common man must get justice in independent India. So go with that idea. Go with clear understanding that you will not be neglected by the state. You will get good remuneration which will be increased after 10 years. You will get a good social status as a judge, which of course calls upon you to perform many other things, like if you are a judge, you become judge by 24/7. And even outside the court, your conduct has to be much higher standard than common man. That's a different thing. Most important thing which I want to tell you is again based on one of the queries made by a girl. In fact, I must tell you something very interesting. A large number of girl students here. I've been a regular faculty member in Maharashtra Judicial Academy. Recently, I visited Judicial Academy at Bihar, in Patna. I delivered several lectures in newly appointed judges in Karnataka Judicial Academy, some other judicial academies online. Now, one more very important change I see happening every day. Take any state, now 40 to 50% of the newly appointed judges are women. This is a very, very important change which I see during my career as a lawyer and judge. And of course, all of us know that Karnataka is going to give first woman Chief Justice to India. But This is a very important change. And you know, this change has brought about many other things. In fact, most of the judicial academies now, you know, all of you will be given 1 year's training, minimum 1 year's training. It may be, they may break into several parts, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, etc. But almost all judicial academies have now a rule that if a young judicial woman officer has a small child, mother or mother-in-law of that woman officer will be allowed to stay in judicial academy campus along with the woman officer. So one young girl student asked me a question. Sir, in profession we see people prospering, they get name and fame. What do we get by joining judiciary? I gave one answer to that young student, which I'll repeat. I have been a judge for 19 years and lawyer for little more than 19 years, 19 and a half years or 19 years and 8 months, I'll put it that way, or 20 years. I can tell you the work satisfaction you will get as a judge cannot be compared with the work satisfaction you get as a member of the bar. This is not something which is hypothetical I am telling you. I am giving you the reason why this happens. Some of you must have seen the courts, some of you must have seen the lawyers in action. You know, when you perform your role as a lawyer, of course you are supposed to give best to your client, you are supposed to act at the same time as officer of the court. In fact, you are first the officer of the court and then mouthpiece of your client. But your performance, you're a very brilliant lawyer, your performance is affected and constrained by several things. I'll tell you what are those several things. Firstly, you have to face your litigant. Litigant may be a difficult thing. Handling litigant is also a difficult thing. So your freedom is curtailed firstly by a litigant. Then it all depends on before whom your case is there. You may face very hostile judge. If you are a trial lawyer, you will find someday you will start cross-examining the witness by asking very relevant questions. You feel that they are relevant, but judge will keep on disallowing it. You will have a very, very tough opponent who will try and interrupt your arguments, your cross-examination at the drop of the hat. Your opponent may be a very dominating personality. So as a lawyer, your performance is affected by all these factors around you. But look at the judge. When you sit on the dais as a judge, maybe as a civil judge, maybe in any capacity, you enjoy more than 100% freedom. No power in this world can control what you do as a judge. Your power to decide is affected by only two things, which again depend on you yourself and not any external factor. One is your own conscience, and second is the legal position or legal provision. These are the only two small things which put constraints on you as a judge. And therefore, when you sit on the chair of the judge, you are a completely independent person. You have all the capacity and all the opportunity to render quality and good justice. This is the beauty of job of a judge. And one more thing I want to tell you. When you start working as a judge, every day is a different day. Every day you come across a different kind of litigation. You come across different categories of human beings. Ultimately, you are dealing with human beings. You are dealing with life of human beings. You come across with various different kinds of lawyers. So, different laws, different legal controversies. So, every day is an education. Every day poses a challenge. Just compare this with the legal profession. You know, after some days, it becomes very routine. You go before the court, same kind of, because you normally specialize after 10 years or 15 years. You go to the court and mechanically work out your matters, because all over the day after day, you keep on making same arguments, citing same judgments. But that is not so about the judges. As judges, your every day will be challenging, every day will be fulfilling. Before I close, I must tell you, one law student made this query. The law student says, sir, not that everybody will get opportunity to reach High Court. And perhaps in law books, only names of the High Court, law reports, names of High Court judges and Supreme Court judges appear. Our name will not be there. So I again repeated to that student what I said, that how important is the job of civil judge or district judge. But I added to that something very interesting. Fortunately, I was born in a lawyer's family. My grandfather and father were senior lawyers in district court. After I became judge, my father immediately from that day stopped practice. But till he died, practically every weekend when I used to visit him, he used to fondly remember some civil judge. He used to name those civil judge before whom he had conducted a trial in 1963. He used to tell me how brilliant was he in law. He used to tell me stories about so many district judges before whom he had appeared. Even if you don't go to higher court after serving in judiciary, if you have done good job, people remember you. Just before my appointment to Karnataka High Court, there was a function arranged by Sangli Bar Association. It was a huge function. They had called five retired judges of the High Court who had worked in that district in multiple capacities. Somebody was a civil judge and district judge, somebody was principal district judge. After the function, there was a dinner. Sangli has a beautiful court now. In dinner, I saw something which is phenomenal. Justice Khanvilkar, my senior colleague in the Supreme Court, who retired recently, he was also invited as one of the speakers. He was the chief guest, I was chief speaker. So we, along with senior judges of the High Court, were occupying one table at the time of dinner. And these senior people, somebody was 75, somebody was 80. So these people must have come to that place Sangli after 20 years, 25 years after they left judiciary. I saw a very unique phenomenon. Because we were constitutional functionary sitting judges, few lawyers came and greeted us. But large number of senior lawyers were standing in queue to meet those retired judges who had retired 20 years back. So much of respect and admiration they carried 20 or 15 years after they ceased to be in service. They must have been there for 3 years. But please remember this, if you do good work, if you do constructive work, people will remember you forever. Only because your name does not appear in law report, that does not mean that you have not rendered service. So don't have that kind of apprehension. I can go on and on, but there is a constraint of time. I know that after all of us have spoken, there will be many doubts in your mind. And I must tell you one thing. I will tell the organizers that if in the afternoon session, where Justice Shyam Prasad is there, Justice Suraj Govindaraj is there, they are going to have interaction with you. If large number of questions, if they are flooded with large number of questions, that will be the success of this colloquium. So, if you have any doubt about judicial service, you have that great opportunity to interact with some of the finest judges of the Karnataka High Court who are going to interact with you. Please clear all your doubts. Maybe that now I am fourth or fifth speaker, so we may have created several doubts in your mind. So don't keep those doubts in your mind before you leave this place. Now, of course, today these deliberations will go on. My esteemed colleagues will give you minute details of what are the opportunities available. Even today, for the benefit of young members of the young students, I want to tell you, even today, there are 98 vacancies of civil judges in Karnataka. Some process is going on. Registrar recruitment told me. And these vacancies occur every year because some of them are promoted as senior judges, some of them retire. Even today, there are 374 posts of district judges. Out of which 25% are reserved for direct district judges. So about 94 posts are reserved. And as Advocate General said, if the judgment of the Supreme Court is implemented, where we'll have population ratio, just to population ratio of 50, then there will be large avenues open, large number of posts which will become available for the young law students. I'm sure that this colloquium will be a great success, and principal is sitting here, representative of KLE society are here. I think it should be the first of few. You have such a huge setup. You have, if not law colleges, you have 6 law colleges, other institutions. So go reach all law students in all districts and taluk places of Karnataka, so that the message will go loud and clear. I again thank from bottom of my heart to the organizers. All of them have taken great pains. I have been talking to Mr. Prabhu for last several days. They have taken a lot of efforts to make this colloquium successful. And young students, you please remember that this exercise is entirely for you. You are the beneficiary. You are the stars here today. So please take active role and please participate in interactive session. I close by wishing a great success to this colloquium. I again thank everybody here for giving me this opportunity to have this dialogue with the law students. Maybe next initiative should be to encourage the students to become law officers and to become law teachers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that illuminating address.